You didn't quit. You're really like against all odds. You're doing something that no one in the family's done, that none of your friends have done.
I'm just gonna say the thing you're not supposed to say.
Whatever is mine is looking for me.
You have to know what road to take to get to your final destination.
Everything that you ever wanted is on the other side of fear.
Hello, good evening. So I am back as promised. I said that I was going to do this live and then I'm going to disappear so I can go into the lab and do my deep dive on the polygamous show. So in today's video, I came across this video on TikTok of this woman giving a story time where her best friend ghosted her. And I've talked about this. It's kind of crazy because I've talked about this. I've been on both ends of this situation where I've been ghosted. I've never been ghosted by someone that I've been friends with for years. I don't know how that would be, but I have been ghosted in friendship. And I talked about how when I experienced the ghosting, it really wasn't a ghosting because the person was growing in a direction that I could not keep up with. And I feel like sometimes when we go through certain experiences, we get upset and we get triggered and we automatically put ourselves in the victim mentality. But after I really evaluated the situation, after coming off of being triggered and being upset, I realized that I would not have been able to keep up with her where she was headed in life at that time. So she actually did me a favor because it would have been torture trying to keep up with everything that she had going on in her life. And honestly, she did me a favor. So I didn't see it like that when it first happened. But as you all know, I like to sit and I like to reflect and I like to, really evaluate things from a realistic perspective to see, like, was it me? I do like to ask myself, was it me? Because sometimes it is. Sometimes it's us. So let's get into this story time about this friend getting ghosted. Let's see. I don't know. I feel like some people may call it a ghost. Some people may call it her, uh, them kind of growing apart, but her like forcing them to stay together. Did I delete it? Did I delete it off my desktop? And I feel like it's going to be debatable on whether or not she was really ghosted or if they actually grew apart. I guess I deleted it, y'all. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull it back up. I think I may have accidentally deleted it because I don't know. What was I doing? I be doing stuff and then I be deleting stuff. Oh, wait. And then I'm not even under the right one. Hold on. Okay. I found it. Okay. Let me pull it up now.
My best friend of what would have been 20 years this year broke up with me 3 years ago, and I'm just now able to tell the story. I'm not gonna bore y'all with a whole. I remember one time she had told me she.
I have a question though. Do y'all want me to play it all the way through and then give my commentary? Y'all let me know. It's 9 minutes though. So we're gonna be sitting here for a whole 9 minutes and I'm not gonna say anything. But I don't know. Let me know how y'all want me to do it. Do you want me to play it all the way through and then pause? Or do you want me to react through it? Let me know.
My best friend of what would have been 20 years this year broke up with me 3 years ago, and I'm just now able to tell the story. I'm not gonna bore y'all with a whole bunch of background information. We have been best friends since 6th grade. No distance, no time, no whatever school she went to, whatever state she moved to, none of that had ever mattered. I'm gonna go ahead and get into the situation. At this point in our friendship, texts and calls had kind of slowed down because, you know, adulting, we're doing things. But whenever we talked, whenever we met up, it was like we never missed a beat. The love was always there. I could not have talked to her in 2 months, but if somebody had asked me who my best friend was, it's her. Okay. At this point in our friendship, messages were like sporadic funny memes or sporadic funny messages to one another. On this day, I text her and I said, hey, you know, from one creative to the next, I've been going through creative block. What do you do to get through it? She didn't respond. And I really didn't think nothing of it because that was our flow. You know what I'm saying? My girl was busy. She was a very accomplished Black creator. Like, she was doing her thing. Text her, asked her this, didn't get a response. I waited like a week or two because, like I said, that was our flow. I sent a little question mark reaction on the message that I sent her, still didn't get a response. I waited another week or two, still ain't got no response. So I playfully sent a message because this is how we kind of talk to each other. I said, this girl.
Okay, so okay, it's kind of like I don't know. Play it through, talk through it, please. I always get mixed responses because some people don't like the interruptions and then some people do. So, okay. Uh, already, I'm already seeing why she may have gotten ghosted already, y'all. And we're only a minute and 20 minutes in. Bro, we're just only a minute and 20 minutes in. Um, so one thing that I'm already noticing is that this woman here that's telling the story, she is still chasing, like she's trying to get success. And the woman that she's friends with has the success. And she hits her up every now and then. And then when she hits her up, it's, what do you do about creative block? Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, that can be a little draining already right there. It's especially if you're a person that's in it and you're doing it and you're being successful and the other person is experiencing some type of stagnancy. That can be a little draining already.
This bitch don't want to be my friend no more. To which she responded something that I was not expecting. But she sent me a long message of things that apparently had been bottled up inside of her. I do remember like how the message started off, and I did delete the screenshot. I want to say that same year because I didn't want to go into the next year with that energy at all. So yeah, I'm not one of the screenshot keepers. I'm sorry. Message started off like, well, you should think about that when you not responding to messages. I went and I looked in Instagram, I looked in TikTok, I looked in our message thread that I was currently in, and I didn't see anything. That I saw like maybe 1 or 2 memes that I didn't respond to, but I'm like, did she send me something important? Did she send me like a voice message that I accidentally opened and it disappeared? Like, you know, I'm double checking. Another thing that she said was she didn't want a relationship where she was trauma bonding, and I'm like, trauma bonding? What? Girl, you made me push myself in the lip. What? Creative block? Me asking you about creative block is you're considering that trauma bonding? I was so confused in that moment because I was hurt. I responded with anger, and
This is very true. Because there was a woman that was just exposed on TikTok about lying about how her husband cheated on her and he never did. She was the one that cheated. It's crazy. So yeah, but we're just gonna take the story as face value. Let's just say that this woman is speaking her truth, and let's just leave it at face value. We're not here to accuse anyone. Everything is alleged in this video. Let's just take the story at face value, okay? Because I understand that the internet is a very weird place, especially these days.
do regret that. I was livid. I was like, what the hell do you mean? Like, you know, I ain't gonna even get into what I said. In hindsight, I actually feel like the way that I responded validated her reasons, whatever her reasons were for not wanting to be my friend anymore. But yeah, here we are. So yeah, I'm angry.
How did she respond? She never went into detail about that, but I wonder how she responded. There are some loopholes in this story.
I'm livid. I think the message did go through, but I don't think that she responded. Fast forward a couple of months, I tried to reach out to her. She had me blocked on all platforms. Mind you, me and her had never even argued. I don't know if I said this already, but we had never even argued before. We maybe had like a tiff here and a tiff there, but we had never really had any big arguments. There was nothing that would indicate, this was coming. Fast forward a couple of months, I try to reach out to her, realize that she got me blocked on all platforms. I reach out to one of her cousins who I had met because me and her would always meet up for Mardi Gras. Half of her family was from Louisiana or from New Orleans, and so we would always meet up for Mardi Gras every year after high school. Hit up one of her cousins on Instagram. I kind of tell her the gist of what's happening. So she reaches out to my friend for me. My friend hits me up, and I'm basically like, hey, what can I do to mend this? And y'all, that is not like me. That is not in my character. I hate to say that, but I'm not the type to come like and ask questions or try to plead my case or like, no, if you did me a certain way, I'm gonna just let it be. This
It's so crazy what lack of self-awareness has on people. They can't see themselves, and it's so crazy. Okay, so some things that I'm already picking up. This woman is emotionally immature. She came on here confused as she doesn't understand why her friend ghosted her of 20 years, right? Or why her friend unfriended her of 20 years. So like there's this want that she has to come across naive or confused about why this friend cut her off. But then in the next breath, she's like, well, I'm not going to communicate. I'm not going to try to reach out and try to work it out by verbally communicating. So then that kind of tells me off rip that this friend can't come to her and communicate how she feels, her needs in the relationship, because she's going to get defensive. So that shows emotional maturity. So this is someone that it really comes across like the other friend, whoever her friend is or was, can't really be open with her and truly be transparent when it comes to her feelings. Or and again, feelings are not always the truth of the situation. Feelings are only valid because that is how a person feels, but it doesn't necessarily mean that how that person feels is true. Okay, but those feelings need to be addressed in order for the relationship to have some type of harmony to it. If that person cannot vocalize how they feel and you not automatically get defensive, because again, there may be a misunderstanding, there may be some type of miscommunication. But if you're automatically going to get defensive, if you're automatically jumping to conclusions and the worst case scenario, you're killing the relationship right there with that, because you're not even thinking like maybe there's a misunderstanding or maybe there was something that wasn't communicated, and being open to that. But this is the thing though too, is a person can also reach their threshold, and maybe this woman, whoever this friend was, she has just reached her limits with this, or with this person, that maybe she's always been like this. She's always been defensive. She's always been emotionally immature. And so she's just not someone that this friend could come to and talk to about how she feels. So, what do you do in a situation like that where you're sharing a relationship with someone and they're not emotionally mature to handle a conversation about how you feel? They're just going to take it negative and get super defensive about it.
was my girl. This was my sis. So I was like, I really want to mend this. I really want to know what I did wrong as a friend and what I could do to fix this. And she basically responded like her friendship is not worth the fight. I could have threw up. In hindsight, I was a little too wrapped up in life. I was always in survival mode. For a lot of our friendship, I was in the same relationship and it was, tumultuous. But I also got to the point in our friendship where I would keep that separate from her. Like when we talk, we not talking about none of the drama. We not doing none of that. Like, I would protect our friendship from any turmoil that I had going on because it was precious to me, because I was so wrapped up in survival mode and trying to get to the point that she was at in life, because she was very successful. I remember one time she had told me she had got her a brand new fancy vehicle. I'm not gonna
Right here, I'm just gonna play it all the way through so we can get through it. Then we're gonna come back. We're gonna come back. Let her just wrap it on up.
put it out there because I feel like there's too many details, but she had got her a brand new vehicle and she had waited like 6 months to tell me, and it was because she had this feeling that the people in her life or the people that were around her and her family were hating on her. I told her, I said, girl, I would never hate on you. You are my inspiration. Like, I look at you like, girl, let me get on your level. That is what a real friend do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I told, like, we had been through all of that. Been with her when she came out to, being lesbian. I had no qualms about that. As a matter of fact, I told her, baby, I kind of already knew that. No love lost here. You're still my girl. You're still my sis. What do you mean? Like, we went through all of this together. I will say that I ain't never been a friend with money. I ain't never been and money gives you access to travel to see your friends. Money gives you access to go and do things with your friends. It gives you access to be able to buy things for them and show them, hey, I love you. Those are the things that I aspire to do, but I've just never been in a position to be able to do. Maybe my timeline wasn't moving fast enough for her. Like, I don't know what the issue was. Can only sit here and nitpick myself, and that just makes me feel bad. But it also made me self-evaluate to make sure that I was a good friend. Like, am I checking in on my friends' moms and their dads and their brothers and their sisters? Am I checking in on them? Help me reevaluate myself as a friend, because, maybe I was lacking. But I also have to acknowledge my feelings and my truth, and that I feel as though our friendship was worth her talking to me. I thought we had built the type of friendship where she could say, hey girl, you tripping. Hey girl, you need to step your game up. Hey girl, hey look, I don't like how you moving. I felt like we had that kind of a friendship. And I've always been hesitant to tell this story because I've seen so many things, so many think pieces, so many memes about how I'll just cut you off without saying anything. And I do understand, I'm not invalidating people who do that, but I think that it's very circumstantial. Depends on what type of friendship you had. If a friendship that came with warning, I could see this happening. Like, maybe if she had been told me, hey girl, you need to get your stuff together, and I'm still not getting my stuff together, okay, boom, maybe you gotta ghost me. But there was no indication. Like, the last thing that we had probably done together was laugh. I was just really lost. Like, you haven't given me any warnings, any sign. You didn't tell me that I was at risk of losing our friendship. But I also have to sit here and understand that you don't owe me any explanation. And that I think that was one of the hardest pills to swallow, is that as much as I feel like you owe me an explanation, as a human being, you don't owe me one. But as a sister, like, as the type of friendship that we had built, the type of communication, whether it was sparse or not, thought that we had that you could tell me if I was slipping as a friend. But such is life. And, I've kind of had to muddle my way through this. I'm just now realizing this year that you could grieve a friendship this long. Oh yeah, I did send her a letter via email because that was the only way I could reach her at the end of that same year that she broke off the friendship. So that was 2023, December 31st, 2023, so that I could go into my 2024 with as free of a heart as I could to try to move forward with my life. I sent her a message just saying my piece. I told her that it's not to sway you back into friendship, it's not to disturb your peace. I'm not here to argue with you. I'm just here to acknowledge my experience. And though I understand where some areas where I may have fell short, even though I'm not clear on that, these things I nitpick myself first, unfortunately, but I did also end with acknowledging that two things can coexist. I could have also not been the best friend, but I do also think that it was wrong how you decided to end the friendship with no warning, no sign, just a dump. And had I not pressed the issue, had I not sent more messages, I probably would have gotten nothing. And I think that is a weird way to end a 17-year friendship that had no warning, no indications, no arguments prior to this moment. So yeah, if you ever had a best friend breakup, tell me about it in the comments. What happened to you?
Okay, so let's go back. I want to go back to when she started really being a little more honest about how she showed up in this relationship.
Never even argued before. We maybe had like a tiff here and a tiff there, but we had never really had any big arguments. There was nothing that would indicate, this was coming. Fast forward a couple of months, I try to reach out to her, realize that she got me blocked on all platforms. I reach out to one of her cousins who
Okay, so some things that I want to talk about. One thing that I noticed about her, and I actually left this comment on her post. I left this comment on her TikTok, but I think she deleted it, y'all. I don't know why. I don't know why she deleted it. And it made me want to talk about it because I have had to cut a person off. So let me see if I could pull it up. Dang, I thought I had this one pulled up too. I'm slacking today. I don't know why she deleted my comment, but and I went back to look too, because I'm like, I wonder if she responded to my comment. I just wanted to see what she would say, but my comment got deleted. So when I watched this the first time, one of the things that I picked up on, because this was like a few weeks ago, actually, I've been wanting to talk about this for a while. So let me see. I commented, it said, it sounds like you became draining, not intentionally, but naturally through misalignment. Plus, the financial differences caused a strain in her on her part. She would have to remain in an old identity to continue being friends with you. She has outgrown that phase in which you both met. A childhood bond doesn't always sustain itself in adulthood, especially when lifestyles are different. So, one thing that I want to talk about that I don't feel like it's talked enough about in friendships, a lot of people think that there should be like some type of blind loyalty when it comes to friendships, and I don't agree with that at all. And the blind loyalty is that we will always remain friends. I don't have to grow. I don't have to improve. I don't have to work on myself. I don't have to do anything. I can stay stuck and stagnant. And you, because we have history, you are supposed to remain friends with me. And that is not fair. Okay. That's not fair to someone that is truly dedicated to growth and self betterment and self improvement. And sometimes when we make friendships, we meet people in certain seasons and certain phases in our lives, and people that want better for themselves are not always going to stay there. They're not always going to remain there. And it's actually kind of selfish to expect for a person to stay tethered to you when you are choosing things that don't really coincide with growth like the other person. Like that's actually not fair. So some things that I picked up, because I did take some notes, some things that I picked up when she talked about, some things that she knew that she probably created in the relationship that caused like heaviness. Because I always tell you, friendships are supposed to be light. Friendships are not supposed to be heavy. They're supposed to be light. And it's supposed to keep you connected to like your inner child. But when friendships become like super, super heavy, it can be because of things like this. She talked about how she was in a toxic relationship. That can make a friendship very, very heavy. Also, some things that I also noticed too, she seems like, and all I can say is she seems like, I can't say that she's actually like this, but it sounds like just based off of some of the things that she stated in her video, she chooses chaos. She chooses chaos. And because she thinks that, oh, well, I choose chaos, like the toxic relationship, and I chose to stay in that toxic relationship for a very long time, that's choosing chaos, right? And also, I believe by her being in that toxic relationship, it interfered with her creativity. Because when a person is choosing chaos, and I notice this with women, the ones that choose chaos, I notice that they give so much energy to chaos that when it comes to their goals, when it comes to their dreams, when it comes to the things that they want to achieve, they don't have the energy for it, or they have creative blocks because their energy is being spent in the chaos. Their energy is being taken from them in the chaos. It's being sucked out of them through the chaos. You cannot be in chaos and then still try to show up for yourself and put your best foot forward or go after your dreams and your goals. So when a person is truly dedicated to growth, they're choosing peace, they're choosing clarity, they're choosing to not they're not choosing confusion. They're choosing clarity over confusion. chaos comes with a lot of confusion, which would promote that creative block. So just based off of some of the things that she was saying, where she's like, I have creative blocks, and it also kind of sounds like she's a little lazy. But again, I don't think it's just her being lazy. I think it's the chaos where she's drained. Her energy is drained. And so it's causing her not to have that much energy. And you have to understand, like, when you really become more spiritual, or you become more connected to yourself, you will understand and you will realize how much energy can be spent and what it can do for you when you preserve it. So like, if you were to exchange your energy to a toxic relationship, it takes a lot out of you. It takes a lot out of you, to where it takes the focus away. It now creates a distraction. And so if you have a friend that is focused and you're not focused, you're giving your energy is being spent over here when it comes to this toxic relationship, and your friend is on their goals and they're focused, you're naturally going to be draining to them. Like, your existence is going to be draining to them. When they exchange energy with you, even if it's through text, it's through a phone call, even if it's through a simple outing, you're going to be draining to them, because their energy is being spent on their goals, and there's a fulfillment that comes with that. So there's not like this running well that's just leaking. It's actually being filled back up. But as soon as you step into their energetic vortex, you're a drain. You instantly become a leakage. And it's because your energy, your aura, your energetic vortex that you carry is automatically coming with all of that extra stuff in the background. And people that are truly connecting to themselves, and they're doing it through self-improvement and things like that, they become very sensitive to that type of energy. So to you, it may not be a big deal. To you, it may not be a big deal. To you, you may not even be able to feel the difference because you're in chaos. And when you're in chaos, you actually become more immune to not being able to feel energy sensitivity like that. Like, you can't feel that because you're in the chaos. You haven't taken yourself out of it. It's probably a cycle that you've been in for a while. And it's sounding like she's been in this cycle for a very long time. So one thing that I noticed too is that she is projecting this idea that her friend abandoned her. And really, what the friend really did was, she walked away and forced her into a transition to now reflect and reevaluate, what is she doing with her life? How is she showing up in her life? And if her friend actually did her a favor, even though she won't see it like that, because right now she's in this victimhood mentality where she feels like her friend abandoned her. Okay. And I'm only speaking on this because I went through this. Okay. I was on the receiving end of this. Okay. So at first you internalize it through victimhood mentality, like, oh, this person abandoned me. But what she refuses to see is, she only got left. The friend only walked away because she refused to evolve. If she would grow and evolve, there would be no need for her friend to distance herself or to walk away at all. And what she is not understanding is that she is refusing to evolve, and the friend is walking away from an old identity. What she doesn't understand, this friend here does not understand, that she comes with an anchor to an old identity that her friend no longer wants to be associated with. Now, if she would have evolved, if she would have grown, if she would have worked on herself, she would not be seen as that type of anchor in this other friend's life. She would have been seen as someone that she could actually grow with. So the reason why the friend felt like it was so necessary to walk away was because of the anchor, not necessarily because they didn't get along, or she was just an awful, awful, awful friend. It was the anchor that she carried. It was in her energy. So the other friend, okay, that decided to walk away, chose to release that identity. And see, this is what happens when you have a friend that is leveling up, but you're choosing not to. You're choosing not to. Or I've seen it this way too, where the other friend is choosing to operate in delusion or performance or putting on a show, but not really doing the work. Like, so you think that they're doing well, and then growth never lies. Because eventually you can perform all you want. You can put on this like front and everything. But if a person is really growing in life, it's going to eventually show. It's going to eventually show. It's going to show emotionally. It's going to show at times financially. It's going to show career wise. It's going to show up lifestyle wise. There's going to be this natural separation. You can try to force that connection, but there's always going to be that natural separation. And so what happened is there was this natural separation because of the lack of growth. So her friend, her best friend, her ex-best friend, forced her into this transition. She would not even be questioning her life, where it's headed, where she's going, if this friend would have never walked away. So, to be honest, this friend really did her a favor. So, right now, she's drowning in this victimhood mentality. Like she probably feels like this relationship most likely uh I feel like the other friend, okay, the best friend in the situation, the woman that we don't know, she probably felt like this relationship was running dry. And you notice these things when you are growing, you're preserving your energy, you're healing, you're doing all of the things, right? You start to notice the relationships that are kind of running dry. Like there's no juice anymore. And this is the thing though. As someone that's been in a friendship for 20 years, my best friend that I've been friends with for 20 years, we would not have been able to sustain that relationship since childhood if we didn't work on ourselves. It would not have lasted. It would not have lasted at all. It would not. We had to work on our trauma. We had to work on our insecurities. That relationship of mine, it started off as a trauma bond. It has transformed into a sisterhood, into a soulful connection, but it took work. Because when we entered into that friendship, we were actually very toxic. First of all, we were young. We were very young. We were very naive to a lot of different things, but it took us individually working on ourselves, not together. Not together. And the crazy thing about our friendship is sometimes we may grow more distant, but because we're working on ourselves, we're still aligned. We're not disconnected. We may be at a distance, but because we're growing in life, we're still connected because we're still aligned. If I stop growing, if she stopped growing, it would not work. It would not work. So you have to work on yourself when you are in friendships with people and you want to remain friends with someone. Now, if you're friends with someone and their life is stuck and stagnant, then you have nothing to worry about. But if you're friends with someone that is going after goals and they're trying to achieve more for themselves, you have everything to worry about, especially if you have no desire to want more or to have more. And then it's another thing too. You can want more, but are you actively pursuing it though? Because that's huge as well. Some of this too is she had a friend, the best friend was pursuing and she desired it. So that right there is also a misalignment. You actually have to pursue it, especially when you're in connections with someone that is pursuing it. So most likely her best friend felt like this relationship was running dry and probably running dry for some time now. Some time now. So this friend here, the woman in the video, she's grieving the history of the relationship, but not the recent or current reality of the relationship.
I had met because me and her would always meet up for Mardi Gras. Half of her family was from Louisiana or from New Orleans, and so we would always meet up for Mardi Gras every year after high school. Hit up one of her cousins on Instagram. I kind
Grieving the history, not the current state, not the current reality of the relationship.
tell her the gist of what's happening. So she reaches out to my friend for me. My friend hits me up, and I'm basically like, hey, what can I do to mend this? And y'all, that is not like me. That is not in my character. I hate to say that, but I'm not the type to come like and ask questions or try to plead my case or like, no, if you did me a certain way, I'm gonna just let it be. This was my girl. This was my sis. So I was like, I really want to mend this. I really want to know what I did wrong as a friend and what I could do to fix this. And she basically responded like her friendship is not worth the fight.
I also feel like another reason why she's acting confused, because when you act confused in a situation, and to be honest, y'all gonna be mad at me. Y'all gonna be mad at me when I say it, but I gotta say it. The men are the one that actually brought this to my attention. Women tend to act confused on purpose because it's their way of getting out of accountability. To be confused, to be naive, right? You don't have to take accountability when you're confused and you're naive and you're ignorant. Like you don't because you don't know what to own up to. You don't know what to take responsibility for when you're confused. So I feel like there's a little deception here too with her story time. Allegedly. This whole being delusional, I'm not really buying it. She may be in denial because she refuses to face or see the truth when it comes to this situation. But I'm not really buying, oh, I don't know what I did. I'm confused. Da, 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 da. When people do that, not all, but when you're grown, okay, when people act confused and they play in your face with that, they know exactly what they did. And this is probably why she got ghosted. Because could you imagine where you're trying to talk to a person about how they're showing up and then they act confused or they act like they don't know what they're talking about? So it's like how can you resolve anything with them if they're acting confused or they're unaware? So I see why she got ghosted. I see why she got ghosted because that is so annoying. Like that is so annoying when you're trying to talk to a grown adult about how they're showing up, right? How they're showing up in a space and they're so confused. Well, when you're confused and you're unaware, there's no accountability. So that's probably why she got ghosted. She knew that this girl was going to act confused. She was going to act like she doesn't know what's going on. And so instead of going through that, she just decided to just cut her off. Um, Also, the friend who ghosted most likely tried to have conversations or at least signal that there was like a misalignment over time, or the energetic distance, like that energetic distance it's kind of obvious. So one thing that me and my best friend we do is that when we feel that distance, we reach out, we call, we get on the phone, we talk for hours. Literally hours when we feel that disconnect. And whenever I feel that disconnect and I get on the phone with her, there's a recharge, not a drain. You get what I'm saying? Like that's the difference, you all. Like there's a recharge, there's a oh my God. And when we connect like that, it's like, oh my God, we've been we've been going through similar things at different times and we've been working through that, but we're here, but we're not creating a heavy space in our friendship. We're keeping it light, but we're working through it and working on ourselves. Now, when it comes to like the heavy stuff, like family, being there for someone emotionally, when it comes to different things like that, we're there. But when it comes to like the little like creative blocks and like stuff like that, I'm not hitting up my friend about little stuff like that that I know I could be working on. And that's one of the things too was she lacks accountability within herself, but then she's putting it on her friend to parent her. That's very draining. That is draining. That's draining when you're the person that's the go-getter, you're being proactive, you're doing X, Y, and Z, and then she has this expectation of wanting to be parent on in the friendship or when it comes to her own life, like the co-creative block thing. And it's just like, you should know how to work through that type of stuff. You shouldn't be putting that on your friend and then having these other expectations where she needs to talk to you about this, and this. That takes away from what she needs to be doing for herself and how she can pour into herself. That's where the drainage is coming from. So now you're putting yourself in that position of being exhausting and very draining. And so now she's avoiding you, not because she doesn't care about you, but because you're very draining and you're very exhausting. And then she's trying to achieve things in her life. So then that means you would take away from that. So she feels the need to guard herself, to protect her energy so that she can continue moving forward in life and growing in life.
I could have threw up. In hindsight, I was a little too wrapped up in life. I was always in survival mode. For a lot of our friendship, I was in the same relationship and it was, tumultuous. But I also got to the point in our friendship where I would keep that separate from her. Like when we talk, we not talking about none of the drama. We not doing none of that. Like, I would protect our friendship from any turmoil that I had going on because it was precious to me, because I was so wrapped up in survival mode and trying to get to the point that she was at in life, because she was very successful. I remember one time she had told me she had got her a new.
So one thing that kind of sucks is when you're friends with someone that's in survival mode, but you're not. You're not. Um, it's the aunt that moves away from the whole family and lives in another city. It's the uncle that moves away from the whole family and moves to another city. It's the sibling that doesn't really, or is not that close to her other siblings or their other siblings in the family, because people who are in survival mode and those that are not, there are just going to be things that you can't have conversations about them because they're not going to understand. And it's not even, how do I say this? They're in a different frequency, but they also look at life totally different than you do. And so it's kind of hard having relations with them because the only thing you can really talk about is surviving, right? But what if you're the type of person that's thriving in life and then this person is surviving and then you're thriving? There's guilt that comes with that. I made it out, but this person did not. Also, there's drain that comes with that. Also, people start to feel entitled to you, like you owe them something. I've experienced that, where you owe them money or you owe them things that they feel entitled to because of your success. They also feel like you owe them something, like you owe them something just because they knew you, not necessarily that they've done anything for you. Some of these people could have not even been that supportive, to be honest. They didn't really support you on anything, but because they knew you before your success, they feel entitled to certain things when it comes to your success. So there's a lot of draining things that comes with people being in survival mode and then the other person is not. First of all, finances. What sucks is you can do X, Y, and Z financially, but then they can't. And how are you supposed to live your life and have the experiences that you work so hard for? Mind you, you worked for it, right? And then the other person cannot. So the only way they can do things with you is you would have to pay. The person that's not in survival mode would have to pay. You would have to foot the bill for everything. Again, draining, 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 draining. It becomes very draining. And that's not fair to the person that worked their ass off to become successful and to have nice things, or to be able to experience nice things, or to be able to experience things. It's not fair to the other person. And one thing that, if you're really a good friend, you won't be selfish in that way, because friendships can go both ways. I don't want anyone to be friends with me and then they feel like in order to be friends with me, I have to hold them back from having certain experiences and from doing certain things. I don't want them to feel like they have to hold themselves back in life when it comes to being able to do certain things because they worked hard for it and they can afford it, just to be friends with me. I don't feel like that's fair at all. If you're a really good friend, you would let that friend go and live and experience because they deserve that. And if you really care about them, you will let them go and experience the things and not even feel any type of way. Use that experience as motivation. Use their success story as inspiration. But to hold them back, were you really a friend to begin with? That's the question that I would have to ask. That is the question I have to ask. Were you really a friend to begin with? You got to let them go and you got to let them enjoy life because they did work for it, y'all, and not feel any type of way about it, and use the fact that they are in close proximity to you as a clear sign that it's possible for you as well. But if you take it as envy and jealousy and all of that, it just becomes a blockage, and then it just derails what could be for you or what could be possible for you. But you gotta, and then this is another thing too. You can let that friend go in that season, work your butt off, and meet them later. You could do that. That is a real thing. I thought that that would be possible for me because I was able to work my butt off and get to that point where I could hang out with certain people and things like that. But I saw the shadiness. Sometimes you work your butt off and you're like, oh, I finally made it. And people not clapping for you because they never thought that you would make it to where they were, or they never thought that you would make it maybe further than where they made it to. And so then they're not even clapping for you. So that's what I've experienced. But I thought, like, okay, I got left in the dust. Let me put my head down. Let me get to work. Right. I'm going to let them go because I'm happy for them, genuinely happy for them. They're showing me what's possible. I just need to put my head down. I need to get to work. But when I did that and I actually got to that level, that's when the shade started. That's when people tried to sabotage my reputation. It was just crazy things started happening to me. And I'm like, damn, I thought people was going to be happy for me, but it wasn't like that. Now, is that going to be the case for all of you? No. Maybe you'll be able to catch up with them and like they'll be so excited, like, oh my God, I can't believe it. We're in the same city. We can hang out. We can get drinks. We can do this. We could go on trips. We could do that. I'm going to wish that for you. That wasn't my experience. But I'm gonna wish that for you. That maybe you'll have a different experience. Maybe you'll have a more positive experience. But if you really are a good friend, you will let that friend go, cheer them on, and then you get in the lab and you get to work. Because if they made it, why can't you? It's possible.
A brand new fancy vehicle. I'm not gonna put it out there because I feel like there's too many details. But she had got her a brand new vehicle, and she had waited like 6 months to tell me, and it was because she had this feeling that the people in her life or the people that were around her and her family were hating on her. I told her, I said, girl, I would never hate on you. You are my inspiration. Like, I look at you like, girl, let me get on your level. That is what a real friend do. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I feel mixedly about this because of my own lived experiences. I don't want to be the negative person, or I just don't want to always have like that negative outlook on situations like this. But one thing that I've noticed is that what the friend is saying to me, I feel like is true because you really don't know who people really are until you become successful, until you become a mirror and a trigger for what they weren't willing to do. And then you did it and you have success. So then you become a mirror for they didn't finish school. You become a mirror for they gave up on this or they gave up on that. You become a mirror for, oh, you put in work for a whole decade and it finally paid off. They weren't willing to do that. You become a mirror for everything that they chose not to do. And now you become a target because every time they see you, that's what they see. So they don't know how to be happy for you. They don't know how to clap for you. They don't know how to celebrate you. They don't know how to do any of that. And then some people thought too, some people may look at you like, oh, I wanted to do that, but they didn't have the confidence or they didn't believe in themselves. And so you become that big mirror. So every time they see you, that's what they see. They see their shortcomings. They get triggered. Their insecurities become very loud. So when it comes to what the friend is saying about her family and things like that, she probably started to experience that type of stuff, those type of responses or like just weird vibes from people. And she probably didn't know who to trust at that point. And then also when you have an exhausting friend like this who wants to be on your level, but it's sounding like this is what it's sounding like. She doesn't understand what it takes, and she may not even be willing to put in the work to get it, but she wants what she has. My alarms would be going off with that. It's, especially when you experience success and then you start to experience weird vibes from people. Now you're in this weird place where you're like, oh shoot, I don't know who to trust. Then you start to feel like, okay, I can only safely be around people that are on my level, because if I try to be around anyone that's not, they may try to sabotage me. Literally, they may try to sabotage me. They may try to ruin my brand, my business, the success, everything that I worked so hard for. So she may have felt a little more guarded, and she may have also, and I'm talking about the other friend, she may have made this decision because of those experiences. Because you start to reevaluate the people that you're surrounding yourself around. And if you're already experiencing weird vibes from people, you're going to evaluate relationships like this. And I think that she may have gotten swept up in that, and she may have been one of the people that she decided to cut off as well. And I'm pretty sure she wasn't the only one. This friend here was not the only one that got cut off. There's probably some family members that got cut off too.
I told, like, we had been through all of that. Been with her when she came out to, being lesbian. I had no qualms about that. As a matter of fact, I told her, baby, I kind of already knew that. No love lost here. You're still my girl. You're still my sis. Ooh. What do you mean? Like, we went through all of this together. I will say that I ain't never been a friend with money. I ain't never been and money gives you access to travel to see your friends. Money gives you access to go and do things with your friends. It gives you access to be able to.
And then this is another thing too. It's the reason why I said that earlier in this live. I said she's an anchor to an old identity, right? It's not intentional, it's unintentional. But when you are not able to meet her in her new identity, which means she's in a new lifestyle, she may be in a new tax bracket, the only way she can remain friends with you is in an old identity. And so it's like now she has to choose between going backwards versus going forwards, being in her new identity that she's worked so hard for, or remaining friends and remaining anchored to an old identity. That's not fair to her, especially if you're the type of person where you're putting in all this work to change, to grow, to elevate, to evolve, and then you have this friend, and the only way you can remain connected to her is through the old identity. So that's not fair. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not fair if you've worked your butt off to evolve and to grow. So she's saying how she doesn't have money to do this, to do that, to do this, to do that. So her friend would have to go back to the old identity and probably do all of the things that they've always done, because that's where they met. And so that person, her other friend, her friend, is not able to experience life in new ways, in a new phase, in her new identity. She has to go back to what's familiar and what is anchored to an old identity. That becomes very draining. It becomes very draining. It's the reason why the aunt and the uncle that be coming to visit in town and they live away and they don't be staying there long, because every time they go home, they have to cross that threshold, and it anchors them back to who they were, which was in an old identity. And then they don't stay long, because when you go back to an old identity, sometimes those old identities comes with triggers, trauma. Maybe at that time that person wasn't vocal, that person was more shy, more timid, that person was more insecure, like when you anchor yourself to an old identity, it can come with things that you've outgrown. And to put yourself back in that environment, or to put yourself back in that space, it's like going backwards. So someone that is like truly hell bent on growth and leveling up and evolving, they're not going to keep putting themselves through that.
Buy things for them and show them, hey, I love you. Those are the things that I aspire to do, but I've just never been in a position to be able to do. Maybe my timeline wasn't moving fast enough for her. Like, I don't know what the issue was.
And I want to say this because she said maybe her timeline wasn't moving fast enough. I don't feel like, and that's the thing, like victimhood. It's not her fault that her timeline is going this pace and your timeline is going this. It's not anyone's fault. It's life. It's not anyone's fault. No one is to blame for why life is going at this pace for this person, and why life is going at this pace for this other person. And it's crazy because I've been on both sides of this. Like, I've been the one that has gotten left, and I've been the one that had to leave. No one is really to blame for misalignment or paces being different. Sometimes you meet people in seasons and it's just for that season. It's just for that season and that's it. And one thing that I do notice though is sometimes you meet people in a season and you're growing and they're not, or they're growing and you're not growing as fast. And then there's just that natural distance. It's not always someone's to blame, or I'm a victim to the fact that I'm just not fast or I'm not going at the pace that you're going. It's life, y'all. It's life. This could even happen in a romantic relationship. You can be in a relationship with a man and things in your career or things in life are just at a different pace than his. And it doesn't, you ever hear of those breakups where people break up, but there was nothing really wrong? It's just we weren't on the same page anymore. It's the same thing. No one is really to blame. It's just we outgrew each other. We outgrew each other. The paces are, we're just not on the same page. There's a different pace. There is no one to blame when it comes to that. It's just life. It's just life. That's it.
Only sit here and nitpick myself, and that just makes me feel bad. But it also made me self-evaluate to make sure that I was a good friend. Like, am I checking in on my friends' moms and their dads and their brothers and their sisters? Am I checking in on them? Help me reevaluate myself as a friend, because maybe I was lacking. But I also have to acknowledge my feelings and my truth, and that I feel as though our friendship was worth her talking to me. I thought we had built the type of friendship where she could say, "Hey girl, you tripping. Hey girl, you need to step your game up. Hey girl, hey look, I don't like how you moving." I felt like we had that kind of a friendship.
That's parenting. She doesn't understand how that can be exhausting for someone that is trying to preserve their energy and their peace. That can be exhausting. Someone shouldn't have to tell you to get after it. Someone shouldn't have to tell you, "Hey girl, you need to get on." People shouldn't have to tell you to do all that. You're grown. You're so grown. Like, that's crazy. If you need that type of get up and go, then that says that you're really not aligned with that person. You really are draining to that person too. So the friend is trying to grow and move forward in life, but she was stagnant because people that are stagnant need motivation. They're looking for it. They need motivation. People that need motivation are very stagnant in life, because there should be, like, some people, people always ask me, "Well, what's my motivation?" I want better. Like, I don't know what else to say. I want more. Like, I don't like this. I'm not comfortable here. Like, there's more out there and I want it. So I'm going after it. There's this vision that I have in my mind. I see myself. That's all I need. I don't need anything else. There will be days where I don't have the energy. There will be days where I may even fall off. But I'm going to get back up because this vision is in my mind and I just cannot let it go. And I have to see it all the way through. That's like, if you need more than that, if you need more than the vision in your mind, you don't want it that bad. And maybe you need to reevaluate why you want the things that you want. Because anyone that really wants it, that's all it takes. It takes a vision. That vision then turns into a plan. Then that plan turns into a routine, daily, weekly, monthly. That's it. If you don't have that motivation within yourself, you don't want it that bad. And that is okay. Because if you don't want it that bad, then you need to reevaluate, why do you want it at all? That's what you need to do. You need to reevaluate why you want it at all. Because people come to me all the time. They like, "Where, I don't get, how do you have the motivation?" I want it bad. That's it. That's it. I don't know what else to say. And people always come to me go, "Well, how did you lose weight?" I was tired of my back hurting. I was tired of taking 3 showers a day from sweating. I was tired of my knees hurting. I was tired of my back, my knees cracking. I was tired of walking up a flight of stairs out of breath. I was tired of crying in the dressing room. I was tired of going to the dressing room and the clothes never fitted the way that I want. I got fed up with that. It became irritating. So that motivated me. Like, I don't know what else to say. If you either have motivation or you don't, and I don't really know what else it's going to take other than getting uncomfortable. And if maybe you're not uncomfortable, maybe you need to self-accept. I don't know. Either it's self-acceptance where you are, or maybe you're not sick and tired. Like, and that's as real as it get. Because anytime I really wanted to change my life, I was sick and tired. Like, I was tired. I was like, there has to be more to life than this. And so I just went after it. That's it. And then I had the vision. I'm like, I have to see it through. So one thing that I'm also noticing though too, when it comes to this conversation where she needs someone to give her that get up and go, there's an energetic mismatch. So this is where she most likely became very draining, especially for the other person who is trying to grow and elevate. And especially for a woman that's actively pursuing success and is actively gaining success, she became very draining. So this woman most likely brought a lot of chaotic, ungrounded, or repetitive emotional energy to the table without any real desire to change her circumstances. And the friend who constantly complains about the same problems, reacts defensively if giving constructive feedback, and expects her friend to be an emotional dumpster for her stagnant creative passions. Because she also talked about how she had creative blocks and she wants to be this creative and things like that. But another thing too is she was expecting for her friend to be this emotional dumpster for her stagnant creative passions. That's not fair to the friend. And for you to be repetitive, it's a mess. So the friend who left probably just simply ran out of energy to keep up with the chaos that led her nowhere. And I've been in a situation like that. Like, I recently had to cut off a friend because of the chaos. Like, every time there was chaos, there was chaos, there was chaos. But then the relationship turned into a dumpster of, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, but she never saw it through. Then I started thinking like, damn, does this person want what I have but doesn't want to work for it? But then I started noticing that she chooses chaos and that chaos distracts her. It literally takes her off course, takes her off path, and then the next thing you know, she's not even pursuing what she said that she was going to pursue. And then even at one time, she was pursuing it, but then she stopped. And then she would do that. She would pursue, then she would choose chaos, then she would get distracted, then she would fall off, and then she would come to me, dump, and then she would pursue it, short lived, and then she would choose chaos, another distraction, and then she would fall off. And then she would repeat it over and over and over again. And it just got to a point where it's just like, I can't do this anymore. I cannot do this anymore. It gets exhausting when you watch someone that has so much potential, but consistently chooses self-sabotage. And you try to be understanding of it. You try to give person grace too, because you used to be like that, or you were in a season of your life where you were like that. But it's like you can only give a person so much time before they just start to take too much from you, where you don't have much more grace to give. And you start to realize, okay, this person is choosing this for themselves. Because there's no way you choose this 4, 5, 6 times. And I would be a fool to not just accept, like, okay, this is just who this person is. Like, I could try to give grace as much as I can, but it's like, you're kind of showing me like this is who you are. And I'm being wishful in my thinking that maybe you're not, maybe you're just in this season, maybe it's just temporary, maybe you're just doing things for the plot. But after a while, if you do it at least six times, 7 times, this is just who you are. This is who you are. And maybe I'm in denial at this point. So let's see. So then you try to give the constructive feedback. They don't take it, or they do take it and they practice it for a short period of time, and then they stop practicing it. I don't know if it's because it takes work, or they go back to comfort, where they go back to choosing chaos. Also, another thing that I realized too is that some women choose the chaos. Some people choose chaos because they get lonely. And then when they get lonely, then they choose the chaos to avoid dealing with the loneliness that they feel. And loneliness is an emotion. Like loneliness is a feeling that comes over you. And if you don't deal with it, then you will continue to choose chaos, and then you'll continue to choose self-sabotage. And you're just going to keep choosing and keep choosing and keep choosing and keep choosing it until you realize that this is creating the stagnancy in your life where you're not actively achieving or pursuing your goals. You're actually distracting yourself because you keep choosing that chaos because you're not dealing with the loneliness. So you enter into that distraction, whatever it is. It could be anything where you're doing things for the plot, right? But then it takes away from where you're wanting to be financially, where you're wanting to be career wise, where you're wanting to be academically. You're just keeping yourself further and further away from reaching that goal. Or body too. Like the distraction, you get, I don't know, sucked in, and you're outside, you're doing things that go against what you actively are trying to achieve when it comes to your body or your weight or things like that. You have to lock in, and you have to lock in and stay locked in and be consistent to see the results that you want to see. And this is so crazy because you see people in that repetitive cycle where they choose the chaos and they choose the chaos, they choose the chaos. But if they would be in the repetitive cycle to not choose chaos and to choose themselves and to work on themselves and to better themselves, they would reach their goals. But instead, they're choosing the chaos, they're choosing self-sabotage. If they would not choose the chaos, they would actually reach their goals. They would be so successful. Everything that they wanted to do, they would achieve it. So if they would just flip, they can be repetitive when it comes to chaos, but they can't be repetitive when it comes to goals. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I feel like you're choosing what's comfortable, but you have it in you to be consistent when it comes to something. It's just you're choosing the thing to be consistent with that is self-sabotaging you, not getting you that success that you want. And you have the ability to get the success that you want. You have it. It's there. But are you willing to lock in? Are you willing to lock in? You got to deal with that loneliness when it comes creeping up, because I've seen that. I've seen women choose the chaos because of the loneliness. And I'm not here to downplay it. I'm not going to ever downplay it. I'm be real with you. The only thing you can do when it comes to how do you deal with loneliness, you have to deal with it. You have to face it. You have to be real about being lonely. Okay? The friend who left simply ran out of energy to keep up. Okay, I already read that. So let me get into this too. Let me continue.
And I've always been hesitant to tell this story because I've seen so many things, so many think pieces, so many memes about how I'll just cut you off without saying anything. And I do understand. I'm not invalidating people who do that, but I think that it's very circumstantial. Depends on what type of friendship you had. If a friendship that came with warning, I could see this happening. Like maybe if she had been told me, "Hey, girl, you need to get your stuff together," and I'm still not getting my stuff together. Okay, boom, maybe you gotta ghost me. But there was no indication.
I feel like the friend did tell her that. I feel like the friend did tell her that. Also, another thing too, because I used to be this friend where I wanted to bring everybody on. I wanted to bring everyone with me, and I would like try to be that person that like pushes them. You're gonna waste so much time on that, and you could have been pouring into yourself. And moving one cycle, because I talked about how I've been closing out a lot of cycles. I've been closing out a lot of cycles in my life, and when it comes to friendships, that's one of them. I'm not pushing you. I'm done doing that. Like it doesn't pay. I've done this to so many different people, and it does not pay well at all. At all. And then in the end, somehow I end up taking a knife out of my back when I was the biggest cheerleader, the biggest supporter. I'm not doing the shit. Figure it out. And people also make you a big bitch. They turn you into a bitch because now you don't want to push them. You don't want to be their cheerleader. You don't want to be their supporter anymore. But I've literally seen how people will take my energy, my precious energy, and do nothing with it. And then be more and then feel entitled to me giving more of my energy when I know they're not going to do anything with it. I'm tired of that. Tired. I'm not doing it with family. I'm not doing it with friends. Figure that shit out or pay me. Otherwise, I'm not helping you. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I've literally seen time and time again my efforts, my time, my energy, my dedication, hell, even my passion to want to help you literally goes nowhere. And it's so unfulfilling. It's literally so unfulfilling. So I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. So be careful about people wanting you to push them. It's kind of like building a man. You know, they want you to be there supporting them. And then once they reach where they're going, then they drop you. But then you also have the other side of it, right? Where you have you push them because of their potential, and then they don't live up to the potential. They don't amount to the potential in which you tried to help them with. So yeah, I'm not doing that anymore. I am done. I'm done being the hero. I'm done being a lot of things because people don't appreciate it. Don't waste your time with that. Go live your life and do what you need to do for yourself and stay focused on yourself. And I promise you, I feel like the women that are self-absorbed and the women that are more self-centered, they win in life. And the reason they win is because they're preserving their energy. They're not the bitch that you really think they are. Like, they're really preserving their energy because they know if they give it out, people don't even really appreciate it like that. They don't even do. And then the reason why we do it, right, is because, well, no one did it for us. But you have to understand that, yeah, no one did it for you, but they're not you, though. You would appreciate it, but not everybody is like you, though. So even though you would appreciate it, don't automatically assume that the other person would appreciate it. And that's one thing I've had to learn. And it sucks. They don't appreciate it at all.
Like the last thing that we had probably done together was laugh. I was just really lost. Like, you haven't given me any warnings, any sign. You didn't tell me that I was at risk of losing our friendship. But I also have to sit here and understand that you don't owe me any explanation. And that I think that was one of the hardest pills to swallow, is that as much as I feel like you owe me an explanation, as a human being, you don't owe me one. But as a sister, like, as the type of friendship that we had built, the type of communication, whether it was sparse or not.
Okay, so one thing that's hard to watch is, to me, this is strictly my opinion, she is showing a lack of growth in emotional development. So she is processing the end of this friendship like a child whose toy was taken away. To me, a mature adult would evaluate and see the mutual misalignment. And I had to do that. It made me more mature in life. When I got left in the dust, I reevaluated, how did I show up? Well, first of all, I complained a lot. I was always bitching and complaining about things. Always bitching, always complaining. Always. Then another thing too was I always had a problem. Always had a problem. Always. And then the way this person's life was headed, she got engaged. No, she was dating a guy. She got engaged. Then she got married. She graduated from school. She became a therapist. How could I be mad at her? I couldn't. I could not. Not only that, I remember around this time, I don't even think I really wanted to go anywhere or really do anything. It was like pulling teeth to just get me to go out and do things, like go out and have fun. So I wasn't even fun to be around, really. I was like a Debbie Downer, or I was the type of person you had to uplift to get in the mood to go out and to do something. So you have to evaluate, how did you show up in the relationship? To me, that shows emotional maturity. But there's a lack of growth even when it comes to her emotional development. How did you show up in this friendship? Why are you taking it so negative that this person doesn't want to be friends with you? And yeah, it's a hard pill to swallow. It's a hard pill to swallow to see yourself in a real way when it comes to why somebody does not want to be friends with you. But you must face it in order for you to move forward and make better relations and connections with other people. You have to. So one thing that this experience helped me with when I was in this season of my life was I didn't want to be the Debbie Downer and a friend. I didn't want to be the friend that just came and complained about every little thing. When I started making new connections and new relations with women, I was actually very careful about just dumping or coming with issues or problems to solve constantly in the relationship. I was trying to keep it light. I was trying to keep it fun. I was trying to keep it energetically fulfilling for the both of us mutually. But again, it has to be mutual. So I had to process the reason why this person distanced themselves from me was because it truly was best for her. I mean, if you're entering a season of your life where it's just fulfillment and happiness, and you have that friend that's just a Debbie Downer, and you got to pull teeth when it comes to every little thing because they're not happy in life, they're not in a good place in life, that's not fair to you. So now you're going to allow this friend that's like a Debbie Downer to sabotage your happiness? That's not fair to you. And I'm speaking from the place of being that friend that was the Debbie Downer. So don't feel guilty if you are the girl, and this is coming from the friend that was like this. If you are the girl and you are experiencing, if you're the woman and you're experiencing a blissful time in your life, do not feel guilty about that. You cannot feel guilty about that. You cannot. You cannot. Because if it was the other way around, they wouldn't want you to rain on their parade or their happiness. So don't feel guilty about that. As sometimes when it comes to choosing yourself in that way, you're going to be a bitch to people. It is what it is. And it's so crazy that when it happened to me, I was just one of those people where I actually evaluated how did I show up? And to be honest, I just didn't show up as my best because I wasn't in a good place in my life. Like, honestly. So I couldn't be mad at her because her life was taking off and she was headed into such a blissful time. She had worked her ass off too. I couldn't be mad at her for that. I could only wish her well and send her good energy and send her good vibes. So be careful about that. If you got a friend that's making you feel bad, were they really your friend? Honestly, were they ever really, did they really care about you? Did they really truly want the best for you? Because I feel like when someone wants the best for you, is sometimes it means it's without you. Sometimes it means without you. Because that's life sometimes. So um she, to me, I feel like she's weaponizing this vulnerability in this video, but it's really showcasing emotional immaturity in my opinion. I also feel like she is shielding herself from accountability by being confused. Again, I still ask, what could I have done differently? To me, that's like shielding her from the accountability, and for her to own, she needs to own her lack of growth and how she contributed to the weight of this friendship, which the weight of this friendship became so heavy that it became draining. And the friend decided to step away.
That we had that you could tell me if I was slipping as a friend. But such is life. And I've kind of had to muddle my way through this. I'm just now real.
Uh Tia, I mean, do I need to pull out? Do I need to pull it out again? When it first happened to me, I gotta be honest with you, I was in my ego. I was hurt. I was in my ego. But I took it as, okay, let me focus on myself. The more I focused on myself, the more I started to see myself, ego death. And I started to reevaluate, like, okay, damn, I can't put it all on her. Like, she's not really wrong, y'all. Like, she's not really wrong for her choosing herself. And now that I've put in the work and I've worked on myself, I really understand her more because I'm just like, well, damn, I just would have held her back. So it wouldn't have been fair. But yeah, at first, you're going to get triggered. It's your ego. It's normal. Doesn't make you a bad person. It's your ego. Your ego is like your alarm system when it comes to protecting your self esteem. It's normal. You should not feel guilty about it. But you can't just allow the alarm to go off and your ego to come in and you not reevaluate yourself and how you showed up in that relationship. Okay. The ego is just the alarm because you're triggered. It's to protect your self-esteem, but you have to work past that and get to self and really evaluate, like, how did you show up in this relationship?
realizing this year that you could grieve a friendship this long. Oh yeah, I did send her a letter via email because that was the only way I could reach her at the end of that same year that she broke off the friendship.
And I'm gonna just say this: she probably saw the email as draining as well. And it's kind of crazy because as she's telling the story, I don't really feel like she really evaluated how she showed up to write an email that wouldn't be draining. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. If she would have reflected a little bit and really went within and really reflected, there could be some healing that could be taking place. But if she didn't, and she's just in this victimhood mentality, being confused and all of that, it just made it worse.
So that was 2023, December 31st, 2023, so that I could go into my 2024 with as free of a heart as I could to try to move forward with my life. I sent her a message just saying my piece. I told her that it's not to.
And it's so crazy. She's expecting to get closure from the friend, but she could actually offer herself closure if she would actually go within. She would find the closure.
Way you back into friendship is not to disturb your peace. I'm not here to argue with you. I'm just here to acknowledge my experience. And though I understand where some areas where I may have fell short, even though I'm not clear on that, these things I nitpick myself first, unfortunately, but I did also end with acknowledging that two things can coexist. I could have also not been the best friend, but I do also think that it was wrong of how it was wrong how you decided to end the friendship with no warning, no sign, just a dump. And had I not pressed the issue, had I not sent more messages, I probably would have gotten nothing. And I think that that is a weird way to end a 17-year friendship that had no warning, no indication.
One thing that I feel like the real reason she got cut off is because she's codependent. She seems very clingy. And when I say that is when you create distance with someone and then they act very clingy and codependent towards your energy, it's probably why she got cut off and she got ghosted. Seriously. And then we don't know if she became monitoring because I've actually dealt with this, y'all. I've actually dealt with this where I put distance and the distance turned into monitoring, the distance turned into competition, the distance turned into just heavy clinginess, temperature checks, and like things like that. And I thought it was a relationship I could kind of like put distance in between, but the person would not accept it. And then it was odd because I had made it known that these are my standards moving into the new year. I don't want to do certain things anymore. I don't want to go certain places anymore. Like I made that known, but I think that this person was so self-absorbed that I don't think she actually heard me. And see, it kind of highlighted like, damn, I've been thinking this person hasn't been listening to me when I would say certain things or voice certain things to me. And when I created that distance, but before I created the distance, I was vocal about, what my expectations were, what my standards were, because of where I was shifting and transitioning into. My change online was not just an online thing. It was like a personal thing for me. And it just showcased through my rebrand and everything like that. And so I noticed, I was like, okay, well, I vocalized what my standards and expectations were because this person was inviting me to certain things that I didn't want to attend anymore. And I told her, I want to do this year. I want to do this year, da da da. And I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do these type of outings anymore. And I thought the person took what I said and agreed or at least respected me. It was a boundary. But then I was still getting invited to certain things. So I became more firm. So I said, no, I'm not going, or no, I have other plans or things like that. And then because of that, this person became very clingy, monitoring, and competitive. And I'm like, why is this person responding like this? So I tried the whole distance, but some people don't respond well when they're codependent to your energy. They don't respond well. So maybe that may have been the situation here, and that could have been why she got cut off as well. So I don't know. This is all alleged, but that's just been my experience. It's like sometimes people who are codependent to you, they don't do well when you try to put that distance in between the two of you to try to create a healthier dynamic. So because, and really it's healthier for you. They may not feel that way, but it's healthier for you because they become a little draining. So if you put that distance in between you, if they respect it, then you could probably still lightly communicate and interact with them and maybe even hang out with them from time to time. But if they don't respect the distance and they become very clingy and things like that, that's probably why she may have gotten cut off. Okay. And then some people are so self-absorbed that when you vocalize your standards and your expectations and your needs, they're so self-absorbed that they didn't hear you, or they didn't take it in, evaluate what you said, process what you said. They didn't do any of that. They completely just dismissed it. So that's not on you. And that could be the situation here. The friend could have said X, Y, and Z, but if she got defensive, she probably never processed what she was saying. And so then maybe the friend felt the need to cut her off. It seems I would love to hear the other person's side of this story time.
No arguments prior to this moment. So, yeah, if you ever had a best friend breakup, tell me about it in the comments. What happened to you?
Okay, so I want to talk about this too. What I see a lot of times is that when there's a relationship and there's like longevity within this relationship, like 20 years, it is often weaponized to bypass accountability. And you'll see this in your family. You'll see this in friendships that you've been friends with probably since you were a child or maybe since college. And it's when one person treats a childhood bond as a permanent past to never grow up, they turn the friendship into an anchor. So like the anchor of the friendship is you must stay in the way that we met, which is like child, like your whatever, however you showed up in your childhood, that identity, you would have to stay anchored to that. And then you even have family members that do this too. You have family members that want you to stay anchored to a childhood identity. And again, sometimes they weaponize this knowing you since you were a child against you, and they use it as a means to bypass accountability. So this shows up in many different ways when it comes to when we talk about longevity in relationships. I mean, you can even see this in a relationship with a romantic partner as well. The history, they expect for you to stay, they expect for you to hold it down and all of that. You'll even see this in your friendships, you'll see this in your family relationships. It's just, it is what it is. So just be careful about that, because people will weaponize that longevity and they'll use it as a path to just bypass accountability and never, also they never want to grow in that relationship or in that connection or in that bond. So like sometimes you have a parent that still tries to like talk to you like a child or treat you like a child, or you'll have a grandmother or grandfather that still tries to talk to you like a child, treat you like a child. Could be an older sibling too that would try to talk to you like a child, treat you like a child. And again, it's like a bypass where they don't have to hold themselves accountable, or it could be a pass to where they never have to grow with you in this relationship, to where it transitions from a childhood relationship to an adulthood relationship. So just be careful about that, because again, this is not just a friendship thing. I've seen this anchor in families. I've seen this anchor in I've seen this anchor in those marriages. Like if you got married in your 20s, or if you got married like super, super, super young, they try to keep you anchored to when they first met you. And it's just like, you're not 20 something anymore. You're 30, you're 40 years old. So you have to be careful about that, because I've seen this in so many different dynamics when we speak on relationships that have been around for a while. Okay. Also, I don't believe that this ghosting was random. I don't think that it was an act of cruelty. I think it was just the natural consequence of one person living in reality while the other person was committed to self-soothing and delusion and stagnancy. So I don't think that the ghosting was to be cruel at all. I think that this was just a natural consequence of one person living in delusion and stagnancy and the other person living in reality. And again, it just showcased the misalignment. I also wanted to showcase this video because I also talked about this too.
One thing that they don't tell you about when it comes to doing the work, shadow work, healing, and things like that is people won't understand you. Like, people won't understand why you take the stances that you take and why you have the opinions that you have, because it involves no longer choosing chaos, no longer choosing chaos, no longer being addicted to chaos. And these people are addicted to chaos. They are choosing it over and over and over and over again. And when you do the work and you really learn how to regulate yourself emotionally, you stop choosing chaos, because you realize that it's self-sabotaging. But one of the most recent things that I realized about myself through shadow work is,
I also want to say too, another reason why I feel like the woman in this video most likely is the personality type that chooses chaos is because of her lack of emotional maturity and her lack of emotional regulation when it came to the story time, because it just lacked self-reflection. And I feel like a person that is really in that space of emotional regulation and maturity, you don't choose chaos. Like, because you are able to identify certain things that you're doing where you're not sabotaging, you're not causing self-sabotage or stagnancy in your life, because you're actively working through those emotions. You're actively self-regulating yourself when it comes to your nervous system, when it comes to feeling lonely. You're actively working through those things. So that's how I was kind of able to pick up during her story time that she most likely is the personality type that chooses chaos. And again, sometimes when you choose chaos, you're not aware of it. It may be all that you know. And when you're in survival mode too, you probably don't even realize that you choose chaos because you're in survival mode. Or sometimes you're so used to survival mode that you don't even have to choose survival mode anymore, but you still choose chaos to get that, I don't know, that adrenaline rush. I remember when I was in that space, I used to choose chaos because I felt like it pushed me, or it made me more motivated, or I felt like I was in like that hustle mentality. And so I would choose chaos because it made me feel more motivated. I don't know why, but that's just where I was, because I'm like, "Ooh, I thrive in chaos, and I thrive, and I feel like I'm more like empowered and all." And it was because I was so used to survival mode instead of healing, being used to survival mode and transitioning out of that. I kept choosing survival mode because of the chaos, because I felt like it motivated me. It was very toxic. So that could be another reason that she is choosing survival or chaos. I'm not really sure. Again, this is just my opinion.
is that, okay, I personally don't choose chaos, but I choose people that do, because I'm addicted to helping and fixing.
And this is something that I recently realized, that I keep choosing people who choose chaos because I want to help, I want to fix. So earlier in this video, I said some people won't understand why you make the choices and decisions that you make. From the outside looking in, they'll see it from their perspective. You'll be the villain or the bitch, whatever. But when it comes to your life, you're making certain choices and decisions because you're closing a cycle. You see a pattern and you're deading it. And unfortunately, they are a part of that pattern. So I noticed, I want to say probably like the end of last year, I'm like, why do I keep choosing people that choose chaos? And then I want to help them through it. And then I started evaluating myself, like, do I choose people that choose chaos because that's still my way of getting my dose of chaos? This was literally a journal. This is a journal prompt. I'm like, and I had to sit with that. Like, am I choosing people that's choosing chaos because that's my way of still getting that dose of chaos? I really sat with that for a long time because I'm like, what? Like, really? And I'm like, so then again, this is why shadow work is important. Do your shadow work, 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 do your shadow work. I was like, damn, so okay, I'm not choosing chaos, but I'm choosing people that are, and I'm still getting a little dose of that. So when I decided to close out this cycle when it came to friendships, because again, back to me closing out cycles, I'm able to close out cycles. I told you in my last video, because I let go of control. So now I'm able to see things differently. I'm out of that illusion that I put myself in by being so obsessed with control. So I let that go. But then when I let that go, there was an expose that happened over my life where there was just so many things that were revealed to me. So in the process of that, I saw the loops over my life. I saw the many different cycles in my life when it came to different relationships and things like that. And so I started seeing, I'm like, I'm still somewhat doing it, but it's more covert. So then I had to check myself like, okay, we got to close this cycle out because now I see it for what it is. I can no longer be in denial about it. See, when I was in that whole, oh, let me control outcomes, it put me in an illusion. So I couldn't really see things clearly because I was creating deception. When you're creating deception, you can't see things clearly. So when I let go of control and I released it and I really surrendered, like it was like a spiritual surrender, right? Then I started seeing the cycles. Then I started seeing the loops. And then I was like, damn, I got to break it. So that meant letting certain friendships go because I had created those friendships in that cycle of my life. And I'm like, I'm still doing it. I'm just more covert. And sometimes, if you don't do the shadow work and you really don't go deep within, you're not going to see it. You're just not going to see it. And then this is how I'm self-sabotaging in my life. So this is where the accountability on me comes into play. But according to maybe the person I cut off or the people that I'm cutting off, they may feel like, oh, she's such a villain. She's such a bitch. But the whole time I'm just taking accountability for my issues. Literally, I'm just taking accountability for my issues and my ways. And I'm just like, damn. And you've also seen me do it on social media. You've seen me do it. You've seen me do it. And lately, if you notice, whenever there's that chaos and I'm like, you know what, let me take a step back. Let me take a step back. We're not doing it. We're going to take a step back. We're not doing it. We're not doing it. We're not doing it. We're not doing it. And I'm like, damn, why do I have this need? And maybe it's the oldest daughter or only daughter, only granddaughter syndrome, the only girl in the family syndrome, where we always feel the need to help, to fix, to be this or to be that, or to feel needed, to feel valued or worthy. So that is something that I have been working on. And because of that, I had to let some relationships go because it kept putting me back in that role of being the fixer. And so if you're trying to close out that cycle, that means you got to let some relationships go. And maybe that's the situation with the best friend, right? Maybe she's trying to close out certain cycles in her life. And part of that was letting this friendship go. So some of us that are doing the work, it may not necessarily just be all about you being a bad person. Okay. Victimhood will sometimes just show you that that's all it is. But sometimes it's much deeper than that. It may be the other person seeing their ways and just needing to correct that so that they can continue moving forward in life and growing.
And I recently made a decision to distance myself from people that put me in that position where they're choosing chaos and then I'm there to fix it, or I'm there to help them through it, or I'm there to weather with them through the chaos that they chose. And these are the same type of people that they think that they're the victim when it comes to the chaos that they choose in their life. They really do. And it's also weird too when you do the work.
And then also too, I became the enabler. Okay. That's another thing. So another thing I had to take accountability for was I started seeing how I was the enabler. I would literally be helping people most likely out of their karma. And and when you help people out of their karma, right? There's a blowback that comes with that. There's a blowback. It's energetic. All right. So I'm like, damn, how long has this been affecting me? Because it can create stagnancy when you're helping, when you're the fixer and you're helping someone, and this can be a sibling, this could be a parent, this could be anybody, right? And you're trying to fix them or help them, and they're in that chaos and they choose it and they see themselves as the victim in it. You're only enabling in a way to where they're not going to grow because you're there to enable, to soothe. You're there to support. You're there to be the shoulder they can cry on. But there's also a energetic blowback on you too, where it can create stagnancy. It can mess up your finances. It can start to deal or mess with your health. You could start having issues too. So just be careful about that as well, because it goes both ways.
Work on yourself and they don't. And there's this natural separation. And then not only that, there's a misalignment
Oh,
because your stance on things will never make sense to them because they're still operating from that place of choosing chaos. And then you're operating from a place of no longer wanting to understand their chaos, no longer wanting to fix their chaos, no longer wanting to support them through the chaos, no longer wanting to back them up behind the chaos that they chose. So now you're the villain in their story. But this is what it means to do shadow work, and this is what it means to also take accountability because they didn't take advantage of me, right? Because some would say, oh, you were so supportive, you cared, you were there, yada, yada, yada. You would listen to them on the phone, complain about their problems, complain about this. But I'm still not a victim to it because at the end of the day, I had a choice in that situation as well. And I kept choosing people that would choose chaos for me to fix.
and I also noticed too that the more work I did on myself, I also started to notice how there was a mismatch in energy where I don't know what it is, but when you like really heal, you become very sensitive to chaos. So like when I became friends with them, it wasn't a big deal. It didn't even have a major impact on my energy at all. But the more work I started to do on myself, then it became like highly energetically draining. Whereas before, I don't even think I noticed. Isn't that crazy? You start to heal, you start to really work on yourself, and you're not as sensitive to certain things. And then you become super sensitive to certain things. And then it grows so loud that you have to address it because it starts to affect you like really deeply. Whereas before, you didn't even feel nothing. You didn't feel it at all. And it's so crazy because I can understand how the other person may feel. They may feel like you just switched up out of nowhere. And partially that's kind of true because okay, you healed, you worked on yourself, and when you became friends with them, there was no mismatch. You were energetically on the same level, on the same frequency. But when you started to heal, and the more you healed, the more you worked on yourself, that that was at one point that did not affect me at all now is affecting me because now I'm more sensitive to it, whereas before I was not. And it's really not their fault. It's really not their fault. It's just life sometimes. I don't know how else to explain it. It's just life sometimes. So the switch up is real, but the switch up is growth. That's the switch up is growth.
I literally separated myself because I realized that they were addicted to chaos. And I used to be like that. And that's another reason why I would give grace and understanding was because I used to be them.
And then another thing that I had to talk to myself about too was and yes, I do my mirror work. I had to talk with myself about um I think I took the whole because I made a promise to myself. I recently posted a suicidal poem to my Instagram. When I wrote that poem, I remember the headspace that I was in. I said that I was going to help those and I was going to help guide those that were lost like me, that I was going to find my way out of that darkness. And I did find my way out of that darkness. So I made it a mission to help those that were in that same darkness out. And I think that I have overcompensated for that in a way to where now it has put me in a position of self-sabotage where I'm always the fixer, I'm the hero, I want to be the hero. But I see that that comes with a cost. That sometimes you want to help people out of that darkness, but they themselves don't want to leave it. I wanted to leave it. I want it out. But some people don't want out of that darkness. Some people don't want out of that chaos. And that's part of that's one of the things that it makes it so hard to like let go, right? But you really have to. And it's so crazy how you go through certain experiences and you're at a certain level, you haven't had a certain awakening about certain things, and then you have an awakening and you realize that life is way more complex. It's way more complex. So even though as that younger version of myself, I wanted to help those people out of that darkness, but I see that that can come with the cost when it comes to my own light. So it's like, what am I going to choose? And it's just crazy how life goes sometimes, like how life can go and everything becomes full circle and you just see things differently. But when I was in that darkness, I just wanted to help people, and I wanted to help people out of it because I was suffering. So I understand how that feels, but I can't I can't do it anymore. I can't do it. And it is like an addiction, right? It is. It is like an addiction. It is. And it's very, very hard to break because you want to help, you want to help, you want to help. And it's because no one was there for you. No one heard you, no one seen, no one saw you. Like you weren't seen, you weren't felt, you weren't heard, you weren't supported. And it's crazy because people could have seen you at that time, people could have listened to you at that time, but they didn't really hear you though. They didn't really see you though. Right? Like they could have just brushed by, or they could have just changed the subject. And so you became that pillar for others, but there it comes with a cost. And this is why I said what I said about Jackie Aina. I'm like, Jackie don't have to be advocating for Black women. Like she could go live her life. I wouldn't put that on one Black person or one Black woman because it can become very draining after a while. And when you elevate and you reach certain levels of success, I kind of understand why that becomes so draining after a while. And then you're not even able to enjoy what you work so hard for. So I would never put that on one person. And I'm learning not to put that on myself currently right now.
So I wanted to help them out of that, or I wanted to support them out of that. And I learned that there are people out here that don't want out of that. And that's the reason why they keep choosing in. So people won't understand my stance when it comes to certain things politically. People won't understand my stance when it comes to things socially. People won't understand my stance when it comes to picking and choosing battles, because I don't choose chaos anymore. And I'm also not the girl that will support women or just people, family members, it doesn't matter who it is, who consistently choose chaos and then they expect for me to support them through it or weather the storm with them. I'm not doing that, because
And that's another reason why I didn't become heavily invested in the Carmelo Anthony situation. It's the same reason why I didn't get heavily invested in the Charlie Kirk situation. I feel like as Black women, people are always looking to us collectively to be a hero, to be a mammy, to be a captain save a somebody. Okay. And it's a cycle that I'm trying to break. Seriously, you all. Like this is so deep to me. Like it's not just social media. It's not just a performance for social media. It's not just to be difficult. It's real. This is generational trauma. This is generational trauma. I have two maternal figures in my life right now. They don't know how to pour into themselves. They only know how to sacrifice, fix, save, fix. They literally don't know how to give anything to themselves. I don't want to be like that. Not because I don't see the value or I'm not appreciative or grateful. I see what it does to their health. I see what it does to their health. So I'm being proactive. And on Mother's Day, I sent my mother flowers and I wrote, I'm breaking this cycle. And I hope you understand that this boundary that I'm setting with you is a boundary that is necessary for me to break this cycle of giving when I don't have it to give. Showing up when I'm still struggling, being there and advocating when I don't have it. I'm breaking the cycle. I'm not doing it. And I've been doing that all year. And it's so crazy how, and you even get this from other Black women. You got to be careful too, because you get it from other Black women too, where they give you the side eye because you're not throwing yourself out there in the line of fire with every little thing. You got to be careful of Black women because they put that expectation on you that you must throw yourself out there on the front line. And I'm just like, I can't. I can't. I can't. First of all, who's doing it for us? And then secondly, what will I have left for myself if I keep doing it for every little thing and everyone? And then no one does it for me. It takes from you and then you have nothing for yourself. And I've seen what that does to Black women and their health. People literally make fun of us for being overweight. People make fun of us for not having edges. People make fun of us for all of these little things, but you know what it comes from? Us not taking care of ourselves, being the sacrificial lamb for everyone and everything. But then these same people will make fun of you when your health is deteriorating. You're experiencing hair loss. You're gaining weight or you're underweight. It's like they don't care about that. So you have to care. You have to care. And if you don't start caring, it's going to start to show up and affect your health. It could affect your mental health too. It can affect your mental health. It's like all of this stuff that's going on, and people expect for us to fight it and be on the front lines every time something happens. And it's like you got to pick and choose what battles are worth fighting for, because not every battle is really truly worth fighting for. Like you have to truly pick and choose. And sometimes I'm gonna tell you, when it comes to like you no longer choosing chaos all the time to feel worthy, to feel valuable, to feel like you have somewhere to be placed in the world. Because I feel like Black women do that. They choose the chaos, they put themselves on the front line to feel like they have a place in the world. People are gonna say that you're a bitch. People are gonna say you're a bitch. People are gonna say you're a sellout. People are gonna say you're not on code. People are gonna say all of these things, and you cannot give a fuck. You cannot care. You cannot care. Because one thing I also noticed is these are the same type of people. They're not mentally stable. They're not even emotionally stable. And then they're not aware of why they're not emotionally stable. They're not even aware why they're not mentally stable. But it's because they keep throwing themselves out there on the front line. And every time that they do, it takes a hit on their mental health. It takes a hit on their emotional well-being. But then me, who's choosing not to do that, I'm a bitch. But I'm emotionally stable. I'm mentally stable. So what are you going to choose? You're going to choose to be a bitch, to be a sellout, and take care of your mental health and take care of your emotional well-being, or you're going to keep throwing yourself out there on the front lines and your mental health consistently takes a hit, consistently, and then you're not emotionally stable. So you have these emotional outbursts. And then you know what you get called when you're a Black woman? Angry. A hyena. That's what you get called. So listen, when you choose this, you're going to be highly misunderstood, especially when you're a Black woman and you cannot give a fuck. Okay? You cannot give a fuck. Check out my I don't give a fuck workshop. All right? The girls, we are in Patreon. We've been doing I don't know how many y'all, I think I'm on my 8th one. I think I'm on my 8th one for the year. So get into it on Patreon, because that's what we're doing on Patreon. Like, you need to get into it, because when you start to choose what's best for yourself as a Black woman, like, people take personal offense to it, and it got nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with your mental health, your emotional well-being. But I also noticed that people don't care. People don't even care. They don't care. It's all about what they can get from you.
Because that takes a hit on my mental health. And my mental health matters. I matter. I'm valuable. I'm worthy to be in community with people that don't consistently put me in a position to where I have to support them through the chaos that they keep choosing. One thing that they don't tell you about.
So then that's another thing too. Let me see if I hold on.
One thing that they don't tell you about when it comes to doing the work, shadow work, healing, and things like that. One thing that they don't tell you about.
I don't think I can go. I don't think I can go back. But what I was trying to say is that if you don't care, and I'm talking about Black women and really women, period, if you don't care about yourself, you cannot expect for other people to. And you know, when you're Black, it just gets worse. So if you don't make yourself a priority, don't expect for other people to. Don't expect for them to. And it's because if you're never going to get what you need ever if you don't prioritize yourself. And I don't know, I've had this conversation with I don't know how many different Black women I've talked to. If you don't prioritize yourself, don't expect for other people to. And when you're Black and woman, don't expect for people to care if you don't care. You have to care, and you have to vocalize, and you have to speak up constantly, and you have to make people see you and hear you. And sometimes that means silence. Sometimes that means not engaging at all. Sometimes that means not reacting at all. To be seen and to be heard, to be understood, or to be respected. Sometimes it's silence. Sometimes it's not giving a reaction at all. So keep that in mind as well. To wrap up this video, some things that I wanted to highlight, some things that you should take away from this friendship story time is that you cannot afford to keep discounting your energy, time, or peace for the sake of history. Longevity does not equal equity. Longevity does not equal equity. Okay. It does not. It does not. And don't be blind, because there's this whole you need to give blind loyalty. No, loyalty can expire over time. It can expire through misalignment. It can expire through disrespect. It can expire through jealousy and envy. Loyalty can expire. All right. It can expire. It depends on how that person treats you. And it just depends on if you are in alignment with each other. Loyalty can expire. Don't get fooled by that, because people will literally waste their lives being blind loyal to people that are complete trash. And I don't understand that. Also, high value, stable connections require both people to invest in their own personal growth. If a connection costs you your alignment, it is a bad business deal for your spirit. It's a bad business deal for your spirit if you continue to stay connected to a connection that you know is in misalignment. Okay. No connection that is truly high value to you will ever cost you alignment. Okay. If it costs you alignment, then that has to go. True maturity also means recognizing when a dynamic has become a liability rather than an asset, and having the grounded confidence to cut your losses and walk away cleanly, even if you have to be the bad girl or guy to do it. Okay, there's power in having firm boundaries. You may be seen as a bad gal or a bad guy, or you may be seen as a bitch, whatever the case may be. But listen, sometimes you have to set those firm boundaries, and there's a lot of power in that. There's a lot of power because there's change, there's transformation, there's elevation, there's evolution, there's a lot of things that can happen in your life. So that's all that I have regarding this live. Please give this video a thumbs up. Hype up the video if you can. I would greatly appreciate it. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions down below. Like I said, everything in this video is alleged. I would love to hear if the other friend will speak out to hear the other side of this story, but we're just going to take it as face value. Again, we don't know the ins and outs of this friendship or this relationship, but I just wanted to take it as face value just based off the story that was told. And I hope this helps those that are looking for it. And I hope to catch you in my next one.
This is my opinion. I'm free to state my opinion anytime I like, right? Thank you.
I don't want you to feel like that, but yeah, feel like that.
This is my opinion. I'm free to state my opinion anytime I like, right? Thank you.
I don't want you to feel like that, but yeah, feel like that.